the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, we see two men working together in Twilight Town. Men who both have the face of Xehanort's Heartless, Ansem the Seeker of Darkness, but for different reasons. DiZ, a man who has dedicated himself towards revenge, and the other, really just a boy, Riku, who has dedicated himself to protecting his friend during his long sleep.
Welcome to Shedding Starlight. This episode, let's discuss DiZ and Riku, their acceptance of the darkness, their maintenance of humanity, and their different ties to Xehanort. To start, we return to the era before Kingdom Hearts 1. Xemnas, just recently created from Xehanort, banished Ansem the Wise to a realm of nothingness. If Ansem the Wise finally escaped that realm during Kingdom Hearts 1, that means he was stuck in that realm for years.
You erased me from the world.
With only his anger and a journal to accompany him, Ansem the Wise sunk deeper into resentment for his previous apprentices. He writes in his 5th report, "It is only by relying upon my anger and hatred that I have been able to retain my sense of self here, where all existence is nullified."
Driven to the brink of insanity within the realm of nothingness, Ansem swore to take revenge, and darkness grew in his heart. "I shall henceforth walk with the darkness as a friend, here in the realm of nothingness to which I have been relegated. Darkness in the midst of nothing. Darkness in zero." This act of accepting darkness, neither rejecting darkness nor fearing it, and having no intention of allowing his heart to be devoured, granted him power without losing his humanity, and so he discarded his name and took on the alias DiZ. With this new power, DiZ did two things. First, instead of wearing the black coat he later gives to Riku and Mickey in Castle Oblivion, DiZ changes his features to match the Heartless who stole his name, Ansem the Seeker of Darkness. Next, he used a corridor of darkness to leave the realm of nothing. These dark corridors are pathways that enter from one world or realm and exit to another, and can only be summoned by those with dark powers.
When DiZ re-entered the realm of light, he set base at Twilight Town's haunted mansion, and finally learned what his enemies were doing all this time. They founded Organization 13, and split half their members to Castle Oblivion. Following this half is when he met Mickey again. Even though DiZ was in disguise, Mickey still found him familiar. Of course, this is also when DiZ met Riku.
DiZ must have observed that Xehanort's Heartless was haunting Riku, and took advantage of this. Thinking the enemy of his enemy is his friend, DiZ disguises himself even further, using the voice and imagery of Xehanort's Heartless to spur Riku forward.
"I finally understand. You're the one who guided me when it started."
At first, Riku rejected DiZ, continuing alongside Mickey instead. But in Kingdom Hearts 2, Mickey reveals that eventually Riku parted, still troubled by Xehanort. DiZ, again seeing opportunity in Riku, brought him under his wing. But Riku was not enough. DiZ wanted Sora, who defeated Xehanort's Heartless, to defeat his nobody as well. So DiZ asked Riku to bring him Roxas.
When I told him it would help Sora awaken from his slumber, Riku left without a word.
However, Roxas was a formidable opponent. Kingdom Hearts 2's translation makes it sound like Riku and Roxas fought twice, but in actuality, they had one fight with 2 rounds, Roxas beating Riku on the first go.
I lost, but the next time we met, I made sure I was the stronger one. I have to release the power in my heart, the dark power that I've been holding back, even if it changes me forever.
Riku, desperate to win against Roxas to help Sora, finally accepted the darkness within his heart, accepted Xehanort, and transformed. Defeating Roxas with this new power, Riku brought him to DiZ's base, now using another familiar name, Ansem. DiZ saw this change in Riku and realized it was collateral damage of his own agenda. Riku was his unintended victim.
Oh, how my heart ached. I could only laugh. to hide my shame.
The following week before Sora awoke, Riku found Mickey again and showed him his new form. He asked Mickey to never reveal to Sora what happened to him.
I didn't want to be found. Not like this.
During this conversation, Riku gives Mickey something to forward to Sora: the orange pouch from the virtual Twilight Town and the blue marble Roxas received from the struggle trophy. This is but one of the acts Riku does out of sympathy towards Roxas.
Riku continues to give sentimental items of Roxas to Sora, like the Twilight Town gang's photograph and a bar of sea salt ice cream. And earlier, when DiZ is about to send Roxas to the virtual Twilight Town, recoding his memories, Riku says with pity,
Poor thing.
Riku also tries to help others behind this new mask. When DiZ directs Riku to take care of Naminé because she can no longer serve his agenda, Riku secretly sets her free instead, along with Axel. Riku later tries to save Kairi from Axel, delivering her to Twilight Town. Compassion isn't the only thing Riku's matured in since Chain of Memories. Another thing is the advice Naminé, using Kairi's voice, gave to him.
The darkness inside your heart, it's vast and it's deep. But if you can, truly stare into it and never try to look away. You won't be afraid of anything again. Know that the darkness is there and don't give in. If you do that, you will gain strength, the kind that's unlike any other.
This wisdom is very similar to how DiZ described obtaining his own dark powers, neither rejecting darkness nor fearing it, yet having no intention of allowing your heart to be devoured. But while Riku and DiZ gained their dark powers through similar methods, and both at one point appear as Xehanort's Heartless, that's where their similarities end. For DiZ is not as compassionate as Riku. After DiZ is ashamed of Riku's transformation, he's still apathetic to Naminé and Roxas.
First, we must dispose of Naminé. She did a splendid job with Sora, but it's high time she disappeared. Roxas isn't the only one who was never meant to exist.
It's only long after, when he returns as Ansem the Wise, just before he's about to disappear from an explosion, that he finally apologizes to Roxas.
And Roxas, I doubt you can hear me, but I am sorry.
This is why Riku is so beloved. Ansem the Wise, DiZ, is a tragic character who let the quiet rage of revenge freeze his heart and blind him from compassion until it was too late. But Riku, who we all know has his own struggles and regrets, still saw humanity in those who were deemed subhuman.
Both characters looked straight into the abyss of darkness and accepted the power it gave them, but only one remained: the boy who helped his friends from the shadows, and in return, those friends pulled him from the shadows.
I have so much to say about this. I really do. You can speak to this.
Oh yeah.
Of how much I worked on this script. I worked on it a lot. And it's because I was so close. I was so close to splitting this into 2 different episodes. But Riku and DiZ's story in Kingdom Hearts 2 is so intertwined that there's almost like no point in splitting it up, because I would just be saying the same things in both episodes. But together, there's just so much. Even though, which is so funny, because like DiZ drops off the fucking radar for most of Kingdom Hearts 2. He doesn't really resurface until the end of the game. So you would think that I wouldn't have that much to say, but I do.
Yeah. There's a lot going on behind the scenes for all this stuff. And I'm glad that we decided to do this, because it's very helpful having all of this laid out start to finish, because I feel like there's stuff that gets a little left behind. Like, I don't think I realized that, like, Riku was giving stuff to Sora to be nice to Roxas. I don't think I realized that before. Which
that
is
might be like
so nice.
Me projecting or like my own interpretation. But Donald fully does say at one point, like, oh my gosh, it was Riku who's been helping us all this time, Sora. And by helping, it's like the different breadcrumbs of Roxas's life.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah. This, I fucking love Riku. He's so good.
Me too. Me fucking too, dude. We all know how many times I've said I fucking love Riku. I do. I love him. This is why Riku is so beloved. Quote unquote.
This is why he's so beloved. Okay, well, we have to go to the other guy first. Okay, so.
Best for last. Okay. So with DiZ, I have a few things that I wanted to bring up. Okay, so the first thing that I wanted to bring up, I don't think is a fact, but it's something I personally believe or have always kind of come to the conclusion to. And it's that the place where Sora and Riku fight Xemnas at the very end, Zebra Xemnas, when he's in his black and white outfit. Yeah.
To me, that place that they fight Xemnas is where Ansem the Wise, or DiZ, whatever, was stuck at for all those years. Because it's a place that Xemnas can access. There's nothing fucking there. Mm-hmm. It looks cool, but it's still blank and empty, you know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of connected to the realm of darkness. For some reason, Sora and Riku like reach the realm of darkness from that area. And that comes into play in future games, kind of. I won't really dive too much into it, and it's not really spoilery. It's just not really relevant, I would say. But to me, those are one and the same.
I think I never really thought of the realm of nothingness and darkness being two different places. It makes sense though. I think everything you're saying makes sense. Because we do see DiZ in the realm of darkness later in a cutscene.
Yeah. It's weird, but like I could see them being the same places, but I would think, that if they were one and the same, then DiZ would have written about like the heartless are numerous in this place.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
But it is weird that he's in a realm where time doesn't pass and he's in there for fucking years, you know?
Yeah.
There's a reason why I included that. But, okay. So the other thing I wanted to say, one thing I focused on a lot in this presentation is how DiZ just does not fucking like nobodies.
Yeah.
He just doesn't fucking like them. Mm-hmm. And so when I was writing this, I was like, okay, why? Why is that? Like, what the fuck does Naminé have to do against you? She's wonderful and she's perfect and she's everything in the world. Like, how could you not like her?
Yeah.
And I think that DiZ is taking out his resentment of Xemnas against other nobodies who don't deserve it. So I think he's just being prejudiced based off of his own experience with one fucking person. Yeah. And I could be wrong, but that's just what it seems like to me. Like one nobody, I mean, I guess 6 nobodies or whatever wronged him. But like in a way, one nobody wronged him and now he doesn't like nobodies until he fucking dies.
Yeah.
Except, I guess, until the very end when he apologizes to Roxas. But he didn't apologize to Naminé, so I don't care.
I think that's probably also, like, very much his, like, scientist brain coming into it. Being like, they are nothing. They are literally nothing. They have nothing inside them. It doesn't matter if I'm mean to them. it doesn't matter, like, you know.
I guess that kind of, this is so not Kingdom Hearts. Like, whatever I'm about to say, like, don't worry about it. Like, it's not Kingdom Hearts. But it does kind of remind me of, like, the idea of androids or, like, robots being so human. It's like, can you actually hurt a robot's feelings? Or can you call Siri a stupid bitch? And even though Siri responds with, that hurt my feelings. Yeah. Like, no, it didn't. You literally can't feel anything. Right. So I never thought about that. Maybe that is what he thinks at that moment. Yeah. I never thought about that. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Which I think would maybe he would learn that that's not true, because when he's about to die and his machine is about to explode and he's talking to Mickey, he talks about how people exceed his expectations and how he wasn't prepared for that. So maybe you're right, Hannah.
Yeah. And it's just like, that's in and of itself a stupid thought, because, like, clearly, like, Roxas doesn't look like Sora. And Naminé is also, you know, an anomaly. So it's like, clearly this isn't just the empty shell of the person that it came from, right? There's something else going on. So maybe your stupid little scientist brain is stupid and dumb and you shouldn't be mean.
I don't care how fucking smart you are. If you're not nice, then you're nothing, bitch.
Exactly.
Something else I've always thought was really interesting about DiZ, maybe this is just another one of my fixations that I can't get over, is the fact that he chose to look like Ansem the Seeker of Darkness, which to me paints, like, a very eerie picture of, like, when Xemnas is banishing him to the realm of nothing, was Ansem standing behind Xemnas? Like, I just picture them, like, both being so shady in, like, the lab while they're about to banish Ansem, because how would DiZ, I'm sorry, there's so many Ansems. How would DiZ know what Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, Xehanort's Heartless, look like in order to transform like him?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I feel like I wrote down here that I feel like him doing that feels like part of the revenge scheme. Like, you impersonated me in those reports, so now I'm gonna impersonate you back. I don't know if that's part of it, but
have you ever read The Count of Monte Cristo?
No, I haven't.
It feels very Count of Monte Cristo. It's just this book about these rich guys who framed this poor guy for a crime he didn't do, and then, like, 14 years later he comes back and he takes revenge on all of them. It's a really good book. But that's kind of you're right. I can absolutely see that intention of, like, if DiZ is going to take his revenge on Xemnas, I could absolutely imagine him going up to, like, I'm sure this is what he was picturing.
Yeah.
Him walking all slyly up to Xemnas as he's dying, as he's fading away, and then he's like, ooh, look, I'm you. Like, suck it, bitch. Like, you took me, now I take you, now die.
Exactly. Yeah. I also think it's funny, like, during his reports, he's like, I'm going to walk with darkness as a friend, but then he literally calls himself darkness. That's not you walking with darkness as a friend. That's you also taking the identity of darkness, which is fun and wild.
This girl needs to sort out her priorities.
Yeah, she hasn't found her true self yet. You need to just have fun and be yourself, girl.
Support her journey. Support her journey. Okay, fuck that guy. Let's talk about Riku.
Riku, yay, Riku, yay!
Which, like, let me say, I know a lot of people straight up do not like Ansem the Wise. They call him Ansem trigger warning because they don't fucking like him. And I think he's interesting. Obviously, I'm excited to talk about Riku more because it's fucking Riku.
Yeah.
But I think Ansem the Wise is an interesting character device, excuse me.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's no Riku, so let's talk about Riku. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is how it is weird to think about Riku literally looking like Xehanort's Heartless. Like, that's fucking weird. But then it's more interesting to think about when you remember in Kingdom Hearts 1, at the end of the game, when Sora, Donald, and Goofy are at Destiny Islands as it's being, like, corroded in darkness, you see Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, but he looks like Riku at the edge of the island. Mm-hmm. And when he gives his little speech about this boy wanting to escape from his prison, it's weird. Like, he looks like Riku there. Mm-hmm. And so there's just this tie between the two that is more, gosh, I don't have a big enough vocabulary to properly explain what I want to convey. It's more equal, I guess, more reciprocal.
Yeah.
Than, like, not to say that I don't think Ansem doesn't have, like, a power dynamic over Riku, because that's clearly the case.
Yeah.
But I just think that it's interesting that the reverse happened in Kingdom Hearts 1. Even if maybe Ansem did purposely look like Riku to, like, deceive Sora or something. But the fact that the opposite happened to me is interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting thinking about, like, the story parallels where it's like Ansem is trying to manipulate Sora in Kingdom Hearts 1 by looking like Riku. And then in Kingdom Hearts 2, Riku is trying to save him while looking like Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness. It's very poetic. It's very...
Yeah.
It's a poem. It rhymes, you know? It's cool
so
to think
true.
about.
So true.
Yeah. It's interesting.
It really, there's, I rewatched the scene where, well, most of it. I rewatched most of the scene where Sora meets Riku as Ansem for the first time. And Sora's like, Ansem, I don't fucking like you, but I appreciate that you saved Kairi. Thank you.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, but okay.
It's interesting how he was willing to say that to him. A guy who in Kingdom Hearts 1 was so evil, scary, bad man that, you know. Mm-hmm. Just goes to show you that all the teenagers in this game series are amazing. And all the adults
it's
are
Sora.
awful.
Are we shocked? Are we shocked that Sora would be nice to someone? Yeah.
If you haven't gotten that message by now, you will. Something that I think is so funny, and I was so tempted to write this in the script, but I didn't, is at one point, Ansem the Wise is talking to Mickey at the castle that never was at the end of Kingdom Hearts, and they're talking about Riku. And Ansem, I'll just call him Diz so it's not fucking confusing, but Diz is like, you know, I wanted revenge. I wanted to get back at them for what they did to me. And Mickey's like, I can't help you with revenge.
Yeah.
And it's so cute because Ansem the Wise says, I know, Riku's told me 1,000 times. And the idea of Diz being like, Riku, kill him. And Riku's like, okay, but Mickey's not going to approve of this. Is so fucking funny. Like, I'm obsessed. Especially if it happens, like, all the time. Like, okay, but Mickey won't like this. Okay, but Mickey would not approve of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny.
Riku, kill.
Riku, kill. Extremely disrespectful. Riku, kill him. God.
Yeah. And that's, like, that's interesting to think about. Like, Diz asking that of Riku and how many times Riku followed through and if sometimes he didn't follow through, and it just paints their relationship a little brighter, which is fun and interesting.
Yeah. I'd like to talk about it a little bit more when we get to an email that we got. But yeah, I do think their relationship is very interesting and not
and super healthy and good and not manipulative at all.
So, something that I was kind of confused about when revisiting Kingdom Hearts 2 for this episode was when Riku returns to looking like himself. He tries opening a corridor of darkness and he can't open it. And Mickey goes, "You don't belong in the dark realm anymore, Riku." And I was like, what the fuck? Like, why would Riku belong to the realm of darkness? Like,
yeah.
I didn't really understand that. And this is something that I didn't really get, that didn't click with me until now, was that I think, I could be wrong, but I think Riku has always been able, maybe ever since, people might disagree with me on this, but I'm just gonna say it, is that, do you remember in Chain of Memories, I guess we did talk about it, when Naminé gives Riku the advice of like, if you don't back down from darkness, you don't have to embrace it, but just don't back down from it, you'll be able to use it for yourself. And then Riku defeats, I believe, if I recall correctly, it was Lexaeus that he was able to fight off after that advice. I think that I might be mixing it up with Zexians, because at one point Ansem the Wise, or not Ansem the Wise, Ansem the Seeker of Darkness interrupts a battle, and then another time it's Naminé, but whatever. Yeah. My point is I think since Chain of Memories, Riku has been able to open these dark corridors and to walk through them to go to different places. And I think that is when Riku kind of splits from Mickey. He's like, look, Xehanort's still inside my heart. I gotta fucking deal with this my own way. Because when Ansem the Wise is talking to Mickey, he says he found Riku walking in the darkness, wandering in the darkness. Right. And so I think maybe DiZ found Riku inside those corridors. Because if you're... We kind of learn a little bit more about corridors in the future, but that's like the way, way, way fucking future. But like right now, I will say, because I don't think it's a spoiler, I think it'll be helpful to understand this, that the corridors are not like wormholes where you are immediately from the first area to the next. Yeah. It's not like a portal. I would say it's more like a pathway. Yeah. So you still walk through it and walk around in it. And it's weird because, like, at first I assumed that the ones that the organization makes all looked like the area that Axel died in with, like, nobody symbols wandering around. But Riku is clear, he's not a nobody, like, at all. Right, yeah. And so I would think that his might look a little different. And then this reminded me, unfortunately, I don't remember who sent this email. I want to say it was Flynn, but don't quote me on that. But somebody was like, okay, in Hollow Bastion, when Sora, Donald, and Goofy find the box that Riku left for them that had the ice cream bar in it and the photograph, why are they just, like, in a dark area? And why does Sora call it the Realm of Darkness? They're not in the Realm of Darkness. Or else they wouldn't be able to leave it so easily. So what is this area? And now I'm wondering if this is what it looked like when Riku was inside those dark corridors. And they happened to be in one at that time. I could be wrong, but I wonder if that's what's going on. And my point is I think that's what they mean when they say Riku, quote unquote, belongs to the dark realm. It just means he's accepted darkness to the point where he can make those corridors to wander around. Yeah.
Remind me, that scene where Sora, Donald, and Goofy are in the darkness, is it just blackness around them?
Yes. Okay. It's just completely black. Yeah, there's no detail.
Okay, that's what I was imagining in my head. Yeah, that's interesting. I think you're probably right. This is also, like, goes back to our discussion of, like, where in like, what is the layout of the realm of light versus the realm of darkness? Like, where are they in relation to each other? And I think that calls, like, people being able to literally fast travel through them, like, complicates things a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely weird. Even now, I still have a hard time wrapping my brain around it because there will be certain scenes that imply the world works one way, and then there are other scenes that imply that it works another way. And so I feel like it's kind of one of those things where the writers are going to write whatever's most convenient for that moment. But it's hard because I like consistency,
Yeah.
So whatever.
That's good for us. That's what we want.
Okay, so when DiZ found Riku wandering the darkness, which is what I assume is they mean the corridors of darkness, is at one point in the mansion, DiZ asks Riku, like, do you remember now? Like, do you remember Sora?
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to remember, we haven't really dived into this, and we're not going to until our Nominate episode, but people forgot Sora existed for like, I don't know, like a year maybe more or less, you know? I mean, I guess it would have to be less, but still, like a long period of time.
Right.
And so it's kind of sad to think about this idea that Riku broke away from Mickey, isolated himself, is thinking about how Xehanort is in his heart. He won't leave him alone. He's just wandering the fucking pitch blackness. And then DiZ finds him, takes him under his wing. He doesn't have a purpose because he doesn't remember that his friend is asleep. He doesn't remember that he has to protect him while he's asleep. So he's probably just like, yeah, okay, like, I'll just go with you. Like, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
What do I got to lose? What do I have to live for, you know?
Yeah.
And that's sad.
It's sad.
Which might be, as we kind of go further into why Riku was even working with DiZ, maybe him remembering Sora was like, okay, well, now I have to make sure he's awake in the future. I don't want to forget him again. I don't want to lose like a purpose of like, why am I even wandering around?
Yeah.
You know? So.
It's so tragic. It's so
tragic. It really is.
It's like the power of their friendship, relationship, however you want to look at it.
It's cute.
It's crazy.
Yes.
It's like they've literally both gone through hell for each other, even now, even just in like by the time Kingdom Hearts 2 rolled around. And it's very tragic, very, I don't know, like.
Which is why I think it's so cute that Riku was so ashamed of how he looked that even when he knew that Sora was awake and walking around, he was like, okay, but I can't talk to him. I can't let him see me like this. But he still tries to like help him out and like nudge him in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's cute. It's cute. It's cute. I can't deny.
It's powerful.
It's powerful.
Powerful.
The impact. Okay, now let's talk about shit I don't fucking get. Let's talk about shit I don't fucking understand.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is something Adrian has also asked us, so thank you, Adrian, for the email. At one point, after Riku delivered Roxas to DiZ, and they're about to digitize him, or maybe they had just digitized him, and DiZ turns to Riku and says, like, by the way, what's your true name? And then Riku goes, it's Ansem. But I don't fucking understand why DiZ phrases it like that. What's your true name? Because, like, it seems to be mirroring another cutscene when Xemnas asks Roxas, what's your true name? Mm-hmm. But that's because he's asking, like, what's your somebody name? Do you remember Sora? Do you remember Sora's name? You know?
Yeah.
Maybe, you know?
Yeah.
But, I just don't get it.
What point in the timeline does that happen? Do we know? Because that kind of, in my mind, ties to the, DiZ finding Riku having forgot Sora. If he doesn't remember Sora, I feel like, and doesn't know what the fuck to do or where to go, I don't know. Maybe that's like, my name is Ansem because that's all I am.
That's interesting. Thank you, Hannah. I hadn't thought of it like that. For your insight. That's very interesting. Which, once again, is fucking sad. Especially because you're right. So it's after Riku says, it's Ansem. Like, it's a whole other scene. So it might be like the next day.
Right.
That DiZ is like, are you remembering? And Riku's like, the haze is clearing.
Right.
So yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about it like that. Yeah. Which is just even fucking more sad for Riku. Yeah. That he's forgetting so much that he doesn't even remember who he is.
Yeah. It's also, I could see it being that. And then I think like my first instinct is to like him saying it out of a sort of self-deprecation, even though that's kind of antithetical to everything he's trying to do. Like, oh, I'm Ansem because I'm walking with darkness, and that has consumed me at this point. So yeah, that's my first thought. But like, yeah, I'm thinking now. I think it ties to the memory loss, in my opinion.
Well, that's really interesting. It's really, and I hadn't thought of it like that. So also, there you go, Adrian. Another thing I don't fucking get, and I've never gotten this. I don't fucking get it. It's the blindfold.
Yeah.
It's the blindfold. It's the Mickey, when Mickey says his eyes couldn't lie. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Fucking get it.
Yeah. I wrote down here, realize. So yeah, one of my guesses here is that maybe his eyes changed color because of his interaction with the darkness, which is something that happened with Xehanort. And
I didn't think about that either.
Yeah,
So maybe when Mickey said his eyes couldn't lie, maybe it's not about lying to himself. Maybe it's about lying to other people.
Yeah.
Where, very interesting.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's another good way to phrase it. Damn, Hannah. Where the fuck have you been for the past 10 years of me being a Kingdom Hearts fan?
I haven't been playing all the games. Now I've played all the games. So something that I don't get, like, I get it in the context of like making a game and telling a story. But my thing is that we talked about this scene earlier when Sora, like, quote unquote, sees Riku for the first time in Ansem's The Seeker of Darkness. The voice actor changes from Ansem's voice actor to Riku's voice actor. And like, I wonder, like, I really question if that's something that Sora is experiencing for real, or if that's something that's just to help us, the viewer. And like, if so, what are the implications of that? Like, if his voice does change in Sora's eyes, and I think I would like to interpret it to where, like, yeah, it does change, because that's the sort of thing that would happen in Kingdom Hearts. But after thinking about it a little bit, I decided as a storyteller that I don't really like that decision, because I feel like it kind of, like, how do I explain this? I feel like it takes away just a little bit from the gravity of the situation. Like, if he hears Riku's voice, like, oh, that's a constant reminder, like, yeah, Riku's in there. But like, I feel like it would have been a stronger choice to keep that voice. So like, it would be tougher for Sora to still see Riku in there despite seeing this villain that like wanted to destroy everything, you know? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
And it makes the transformation later have a little less weight.
Less impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. I can absolutely
just
see
a
that.
little. Yeah. Like, I'm nitpicking so much here, but like, yeah, I don't know. That's just my thought. You know.
I think the voice actor who voices Ansem in this game does such a good job of sounding evil. There are some lines, I don't remember what lines he was saying, but when we do this podcast, we find resources of the lines without any music or any sound effects, whatever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to I was trying to find some of Ansem's lines, and it was showing me flashbacks of what he says in Kingdom Hearts 1. Mm-hmm. And this actor really does do a great job of sounding so evil. I can't remember some of the lines he says, but there were some lines when I was combing through, I was like, damn, he sounds like this guy is a thespian. Like, you can tell he's like really fucking getting into the evil, like, ooh.
Yeah.
And yet, as apprentice Xehanort, he sounds most ransom, like such a fucking dork.
Yeah.
And then as Riku, he sounds so humble and so
Yeah.
gentle, like poor thing, you know?
Yeah.
So I do think that I agree with your point, and in addition, I think that the actor could have continued to deliver as a humble Riku rather than we hear David Gallagher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just my nitpick.
Okay, so we've got some email. Well, we've got one email.
We got one email.
Which, honestly, I was telling Hannah, maybe that's okay, because now that I've said it all aloud, it doesn't feel like a lot.
Yeah.
But when I was writing this, I was like, damn, I have so much to say. How the fuck are we not going to make this script like 7 pages long? Lord help me.
Yeah.
But I'm really good at editing down, and I'm really good at summarizing, so
Yes,
you're
you
welcome.
are. Yes, you are. I, like, for real, Mel slaved over this script for, like, days. And it ended up being one of the shorter ones of the season so far.
Which is crazy.
But it turned out so good. Like, this is one of my favorite scripts so far. Like, I really enjoyed reading it.
Thank you.
But Adrian asks, do you think Riku and Namine work together after leaving DiZ? We don't really know what either is doing for most of the time of Kingdom Hearts 2, and in the light novel, they stuck together.
So, okay. I still haven't read the novels. That's between you and me, listener. But I also think that they probably, if they didn't stick together the whole time, because there's like a scene where Riku is at the Land of Dragons and he, you know, like there are scenes where we see Riku and he's not with Namine. They're not hip to hip. But I do think that they must have like kept in contact with each other, because in the world that never was, when Namine rescued Kairi and they're running together and then they run into Ansem they run into Riku as Ansem. The way Riku talks to Namine and the way Namine talks to Riku, in fact, Riku might not have a line. It might be Namine talking to Riku. But either way, they talk to each other as if it hasn't been a whole game since they've last seen each other.
Yeah.
They talk to each other like you go to work and you see someone the next day and you're like, hey, Bill, you know?
Yeah.
So to me, I would not be surprised if they stuck together.
Yeah.
Or
I feel that way too. Yeah. I would agree with that.
Especially because, you know, Riku let Namine go. Riku rescued Kairi, so he clearly was keeping an eye on Kairi, making sure she was okay. It sounds very much in character to me for Riku to keep an eye on Namine because he likes her and he wants her to be safe, you know? So, okay, the second question, which is kind of the fourth question.
Yeah.
Because, well, I guess they're technically different questions, but I had the same answer to both. So Adrian continues to ask, why do you think Riku let DiZ treat Namine so poorly? I honestly find it odd he'd let Namine be treated as if she were an object or tool, seeing he freed her once he was ordered to destroy her. Adrian also asks, who do you think set the transactional tone of their relationship? Riku didn't really seem to trust him at the end of Chain of Memories, and DiZ seems to be treating everyone like pawns. So I think that Riku, in this time of his life, has maybe two objectives, which I guess really just one objective, is to keep his friends safe. So he, like I said, he's probably keeping an eye on Kairi, making sure she's safe at Destiny Islands and nothing fucking happens to her. But also, he wants to wake Sora up. He wants to keep Sora safe. And so, if working for this shady guy named DiZ, if it's Namine is the only person who can wake Sora up.
Yeah.
And so, he has to kind of let Namine do her thing, which unfortunately also includes DiZ treating her like shit.
Yeah.
He's just like, whatever, man, I gotta wake my boy up.
Yeah.
I gotta wake him up.
Yeah.
This is awful and I'm miserable, but I gotta wake him up. You know?
Yeah.
That's what it seems to me.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Which, I mean, as we've been talking about this whole episode, I think it really just shows how much Riku has grown since the first game. Because the first game, he was in it for himself. He got jealous of Donald and Goofy because because Sora made new friends. How dare he?
Yeah.
He acted out because he wanted to save Kairi. And he was like, you know what, Sora? Fuck you. I'm going to save her myself. And I'm going to follow the baddest bitch in town in order to do it. And that is Maleficent.
Yeah.
You know? He's super sassy in Shade of Memories. He keeps his cards close to his chest. He's super sassy. And I think Riku is not that sassy in Kingdom Hearts 2. Almost because he's like, I don't have time to be sassy. Like, there are real things at stake here, and I want to protect the things that I care about.
Yeah. And he probably feels like he needs to atone for everything that he did.
So true. So true.
He's just willing to do whatever to make it, to fix it. I love Riku. I love Riku, man. Riku's great. This is why Riku is so beloved.
We have a friend who's playing through the whole series right now. Jimmy Wetzel, go check out his Twitch. And he didn't like Riku at first, which is like, clockwork, right?
Yeah.
People don't like Riku at first. And then he becomes one of their favorite fucking characters.
Yeah.
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 So,
good
for him.
Yay.
Good for him. Yay, Riku.
Yay, Riku.
Yay, Riku.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's it, right?
I think so. I don't have... Once again, I'm kind of shocked that we were able to go through this so smoothly because... Damn, it really took me for fucking ever to get a grasp on this.
Well, I think it turned out great. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's our next episode about, Mel?
Our next episode is on Roxas.
Yeah!
Roxas!
Let's fucking go!
So you can talk about his 7 days. You can talk about after those 7 days. Talk about him as a character. Talk about him from a practical, logistical standpoint. We got it all, okay? We got it all.
It's the Roxas super episode.
Yes. We're finally going to give... this was the episode, this one about Riku and Diz, I guess, but mostly Riku. This was the start where I was like, okay, we're getting to the emotional juice now. Enough of the logic, enough of like the backstory. Let's get to the characters that we hold so dear. And Roxas is a continuation of that.
Let's go.
And you can email us at sheddingstarlight@gmail.com.
Yes.
No spaces, no characters, no numbers, no nothing. Just sheddingstarlight@gmail.com. And... Or
where else can they send their comments?
Patreon! Oh my god, Patreon!
And if you're listening to this on Sunday instead of Monday, that means you're a Patreon subscriber, so thank you. Hello. Mwah. We love you. Mwah. And Patreon gets episodes ad-free and a day early, so go check it out. What else should they do, Mel?
You should rate us on Apple Podcasts. Give us those 5 stars.
Those 5 little stars.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, you should hit the thumbs up. You should comment. Comment to anything. Comment. Why? What could Ansem the Wise learn from Riku? What could that bitch learn from him? Write it down.
Or if you can't think of anything, just say you love Riku.
That's all. You love Riku.
That's all you need.
That's so true. With a heart. Put your favorite heart emoji with it.
That's how we know you're a real one. That stays till the end. If it's a different color heart emoji.
Yeah.
And subscribe if you haven't on YouTube. Duh. And that's it. Okay, well, thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll see you in the starlight.